Hello everyone, my name is Sofia Dayan Katindi Garcia and welcome to the Peaceful Classroom. Our Peaceful Classroom is a dedicated space where parents, educators, and other professionals come together to talk about ideas on how we may promote positivity and peace in the lives of children and teens. Our topic for today is staying safe but connected, cultivating social wellness of students amidst the pandemic. Distancing is one of the important measures in flattening the curve. However, distancing has also affected social interactions and even relationships. The challenge now is, how do we cultivate social wellness while following health protocols under this pandemic? Let us learn more from our protagonist for today, Ms. Maria Lourdes T. Jarabe, or Malou to many. Ms. Malou is a registered social worker, placing number 1 in the 1997 Social Workers Licensure Examination. She finished her Master of Social Work from UP Diliman and is now completing her PhD in Family Studies in Miriam College. She was Undersecretary at the Department of Social Welfare and Development from 2016 to 2018. Before joining DSWD, she worked at Miriam College holding various administrative and academic positions. She also worked at the Pamantasan ng Lungsod ng Maynila as an Assistant Vice President for Academic Affairs. More importantly, she is a mother of 2. Let's listen to Ms. Malou's thoughts on stress and anxiety and how these have gotten worse due to social distancing.
Good day, friends. My name is Malou Jarabe. I am a registered social worker. I used to be an undersecretary at the Department of Social Welfare and Development. Currently, I am finishing my dissertation for a PhD in Family Studies. So today, I will be talking about staying safe but connected, or how to cultivate social wellness of our students amidst the pandemic. You see, COVID-19 has changed how students are being educated around the world. In the case of my children, this meant a sudden shift to full-time online or remote learning in the wake of the pandemic. However, my children have not been prepared for this online learning, while the school, on the other hand, is somehow caught flat-footed. But nonetheless, they were forced to adapt to this new normal. The school system is now being nudged and pushed to change and innovate. However, as in any change, we experience difficulties and struggles adjusting to the new routine. There are times it is so stressful for my kids and even for myself too. At first, they welcomed when the quarantine was imposed, as if it's a blessing in disguise, so they could get some break or enough some break, just to get some sleep, or waking up so early just to go to school. But weeks into the quarantine, they would tell me that they were bored and they missed their friends and classmates in school, and they couldn't wait to see and be with them once again. They asked me to, when this pandemic will finally be over and what the future looks like. Will they be able to go out and leave the house? They certainly miss the social connection. Of course, with these questions, I feel so anxious, but I try my best. I try to respond to them as objectively as I could, no? And in a manner that they will understand. I tell them it is okay not to feel okay, but I also suggest activities that will make them feel a little better, like calling their friends or even encouraging them to play online games with them. As human beings, we are wired for social connection. And so this pandemic presents one of the biggest challenges. Distancing from others, which is really tough, no? The need to stay apart thus goes against our very nature and creates dissonance and discomfort. No? We see this even in small children at play. No? It is very natural for children learning about the world and the things around them to do it with friends and peers. No? Furthermore, at the time when our children are introduced to social and emotional learning, for example, no, collaboration and cooperation, and are discovering what relationships with others mean, the impact of this pandemic may cause disruptions in the process. No? As Brower, no, says, anytime that there's a perceived threat, our natural response is to come together and seek safety in groups and in community. Okay? Social connection is so important now more than ever as we face these trying times. No? Significant research is also pointing out that engaging socially is one of the best ways, no? One of the best ways to cope with and manage the stressors in life, our stressors in life. However, with this pandemic, our physical mobility and interactions have been limited, if not restricted. So, the challenge now as you deal with your students, with our students, is how to assist them not to be too overwhelmed, stay connected, and promote their social wellness during this pandemic. So, as you take care of your own well-being and prevent burnout, it would also be good to understand the social wellness challenges of our students with some empathy and warmth. After all, extending social support and a sense of belonging would be critical to our collective well-being.
The pandemic has brought a lot of changes in different aspects of society, including education. This shift has not been easy, and even until now, we are still adjusting to the new normal. Ms. Malou shared her experience on how she and her children have experienced this shift. It began with an idea that it has been a blessing in disguise, but eventually, the longing for social connection has changed this perspective. As a response, Ms. Malou would always tell her daughters that it is okay not to feel okay and suggested ways on how to cope with the new normal wherein distancing is a required measure to flatten the curve. Distancing, that is a challenge. Ms. Malou cites that as humans, we are wired for social connections, and so this pandemic presents one of the biggest challenges of all, distancing from others, and this is really tough. The need to stay apart goes against our very nature and creates dissonance and discomfort. In the context of children, young people need their parents and teachers to assist them in order not to be too overwhelmed with their emotions, to stay connected with others, and to promote practical ways of social wellness during this pandemic.
You see, social wellness is a very important pillar when we talk about how healthy we are as human beings, which I've discussed earlier in a separate topic. So, let's define what social wellness means. No? Social wellness is our ability to successfully interact with people around us, as well as participate significantly and feel connected, no, to our community. We can enhance our social well-being by establishing supportive social networks through meaningful relationships with our family, friends, and colleagues. Social wellness includes making friends and having fun in a safe and healthy way while using social skills like active listening, relating to others, expressing compassion and empathy, community engagement, and experiencing genuine interactions with others. Social wellness helps make ourselves and others feel safe, included, and supported. With COVID-19, we are recognizing more and more the importance of building humanity's resilience to face various threats. So, what is resilience, and why do we need to cultivate resilience in our students or in our youth today? The pandemic is an opportunity to remind ourselves of the skills students need in this unpredictable world, characterized by volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity, or what we call VUCA world. So these skills are such as informed decision making, creative problem solving, and perhaps above all, adaptability. By the way, these skills are not learned when one is isolated, but when in interaction with others. Okay, so furthermore, to ensure the skills remain a priority for all our students, resilience must be built into our educational systems as well. That's according to Tam and El Azhar. So, how do we cultivate resilience in our students? One of the ways to do this is to enhance their social connectedness and help them cultivate meaningful relationships. Social connectedness improves children's chances of showing resilience to adversity. Resilience refers to being able to bounce back from life's difficulties through resourcefulness, flexibility, and effective adaptation or adjustment. According to Ann Maston, a professor of child psychology at the University of Minnesota, calls resilience ordinary magic. Again, ordinary magic. According to her, there is no great mystery to resilience. It is not an innate characteristic or personality trait, nor it is a lucky charm that protects people from ills. She said that it typically arises from effective adaptation rather than unusual ones, and emerges from ordinary human capabilities, relationships, and other internal and external resources. Cultivating human relationships and interactions are therefore necessary as we strive to become resilient in the face of this pandemic. As human beings, we learn how to grow, how to reach out for help when we need it most, and how to support one another through these experiences. Social support and a sense of belonging would be critical to our well-being. Students who believe they can learn and grow from challenges may be better able to deal with social concerns and academic disruptions. However, encouraging students to build this kind of mindset in the midst of this pandemic can be a big challenge for even the most committed teachers. So, although physical distancing or physical distancing or isolation is needed to prevent the spread and reproduction of the coronavirus, we need the exact opposite in response to our social wellness challenges. So, how do we cultivate our student social wellness while avoiding infection? Okay. Physical or social distancing does not have to mean emotional distancing. We need to stay emotionally connected to those we love and care about, and use these emotional connections to help ease the anxiety we are experiencing about the pandemic. There are creative approaches to staying connected while taking care of our physical well-being. We can get emotionally connected with other people by being able to walk in their shoes and take their perspective in order to understand their feelings, thoughts, and actions. This is called empathy. And empathy helps build resilience. So, what are some tips and recommendations? No? Having laid down that a sense of belonging and emotional connection can help us become resilient in the time of this pandemic, I would like to share some tips and recommendations on how you may be able to assist your students in adjusting to the new situation or the so-called new normal. These are by no means exhaustive, so you may freely add to them. So, one is encouraging them to strengthen their relationships, with family members and friends through constant communication and doing bonding activities. If online, there's a need for that, no, why not, no? Also, encourage forming online groups with classmates and friends. No? This will make them feel, that they are not alone and will become an opportunity to create social bonds. Since our youngsters are very much into technology, we can also encourage them to use technology to connect and expand their social networks. Here, you may encourage them to join online groups that could provide useful information, no? Not fake news. Also, start hobbies or even entrepreneurial opportunities. Another is to become more active in the community, to become active in their community while still practicing proper physical distancing protocols.
With all these challenges that restrict the interaction of people with others, taking care of one's social wellness has been more important than ever, as it helps make ourselves and others feel safe, included, and supported. To quote what Ms. Malou shared, with COVID-19, we are recognizing more and more the importance of building humanity's resilience to face various threats. The pandemic is an opportunity to remind ourselves of the skills students need in this unpredictable world, such as informed decision-making, creative problem-solving, and perhaps above all, adaptability. This also applies to students, emphasizing on the vital role that the educational system play in ensuring that relationships and interactions are cultivated to foster resilience in this time of the pandemic. The question is, how? According to Quinones 2020, physical or social distancing does not have to mean emotional distancing. We need to stay emotionally connected to those we love and care about and use these emotional connections to help us ease the anxiety we are experiencing about the pandemic. According to Ms. Malou, empathy helps build resilience. Here's a recap of the tips on how to build resiliency. Number 1, strengthen relationships with family members and friends. Number 2, encourage forming online groups with classmates and friends. Number 3, use technology to connect and expand social networks. And finally, become more active in the community while practicing proper physical distancing protocols.
So, we noted that cultivating human relationships and interactions are necessary as we strive to become resilient in this challenging situation, thus promoting our social wellness. As Gerstenhaber and Franklin argue, everyday acts of kindness help us create social bonds and promote a sense of belonging. Social support and a sense of belonging would be critical to our social well-being as we face this pandemic. So as I end, let me ask you to reflect on these questions. During this pandemic, apart from academic related matters, have you reached out to your students to find out how they are doing or if they are coping with the situation? In what ways did you reach out to them? What issues and concerns did they share with you? And how did you feel upon knowing their concerns? What did you discover about yourself after doing this. Also, you may consider creative ways not to stay connected with your students. Can you think of specific activities that this may be done? You may want to host an online meeting or group chat just to find out, no, just to have a sense, no, of where they are, of what is bothering them or what concerns them. So I hope this session helped, and good afternoon to all of us. Thank you.
Kindness goes a long way, especially in times like these. As teachers, here are some ways on how we can be instruments of cultivating relationships and interactions among our students. May we request you to reflect on the following questions. During this pandemic, apart from the academic-related matters, have you reached out to your students to find out how they are doing and or coping with the situation? In what ways did you reach out to them? What issues and concerns did they share with you? How did you feel upon knowing their concerns? What did you discover about yourself after doing this? A suggested task is to also think of creative ways to stay connected with your students. Can you think of specific activities this may be done? You may want to host an informal online meeting or group chat to explain the mechanics of this activity or to get other ideas from your students. The pandemic should not stop us from cultivating relationships with others, as there are many ways on how we can still stay connected while practicing physical distancing. We must always remember that kindness goes a long way. I would like to leave you with this quote from the famous philosopher Lao Tzu. Kindness in words creates confidence. Kindness in thinking creates profoundness. Kindness in giving creates love. That's all for today, and thank you for joining us. See you again in our sacred space, our peaceful classroom.
To the Center of Peace Education in Miriam College, it is a privilege to give you a content and insights on how the Filipino brand of service excellence of the Department of Tourism gives and addresses social issues relevant during these trying times. The pandemic made us all anxious and scared about our lives and the lives of the people closest to us. Our plans and dreams have been put on hold, and we are still uncertain when it will proceed or will it even prosper. Many lives have been put to risk, and many lives has been taken, and this is something that caught us all off guard. The tourism and hospitality is one of the primary economic boosters in the Philippines. However, we are the industry where we first felt the wrath of the pandemic, and we will be the last to recover. Our industry is bleeding right now, and we could not go back to our old ways, for we are considering the safety and security of everyone as our topmost priority. The national and international travel restrictions created a huge impact on tourism receipts, businesses, income, and livelihood of our tourism workforce and Filipinos in general. And with all the uncertainties happening right now in the tourism and hospitality industry, one way to look at the pandemic is to consider it as a rest period. The Department of Tourism looked at this situation as an opportunity to reboot, reskill, and retool our tourism frontliners during the rest period through the Filipino brand of service excellence training, where we virtually say, Mabuhay! This program is designed to develop and sustain all our tourism workforce, frontliners, and stakeholders in general to be capable of supplying accurate information and providing services of globally competitive standards to all the visitors and tourists traveling around the country. The Filipino brand of service is aimed at providing the orientation to all our frontliners on how we'll be able to develop and give services the Filipino way. It includes talks and practical demonstration about service excellence, understanding guests, delivering excellent service, and service recovery in a Filipino way supported by the Filipino value system. How is the Filipino brand of service excellence related to social wellness? This is the program which aims to understand better who Filipinos are and what Filipinos are made of. The current pandemic is just one of the many adversities that we have faced in the past, and this program helps us understand our values, how we are using them to cope up during these trying times. If I will be asking you, sino ba ang mga Pilipino sa panahon ng pandemya? We may come up with many positive ideas on how we are surviving and coping up to combat the rising threat of this pandemic. And I would like to cite on how the Filipino brand of service excellence is highlighting the Filipino values, which makes the Filipino unique among other nationalities. One of the most beautiful traits that we have as Filipinos is our ability to surrender everything to God. The value of makamaylikha, regardless of all our denomination, is definitely undeniable during these times. Being honest and fair with our health and status issues is one of the best way for us to show how we are valuing the lives and the lives of many people around us. When we put faith and honesty in all our actions, along with our spirituality, we will be able to believe that better days will be coming and this too will pass. Filipinos are also known for our pagiging makatao. Our relationship with our family and friends have become stronger during this pandemic. Though we are anxious and scared, the psychology of how the pandemic made us closer is very evident when we became closer with our family members, revisited our long-lost friends virtually, and becoming friendlier with our neighbors. Thus, we built a sense of community, turning me into we. The Filipinos are known for makakalikasan. The plight of pandemic made us realize that nature has its cunning way to show its might and power. It made us more conscious that wildlife must be protected and we are the stewards to protect every living things. I personally find responsibility as a word which can be put into action. Responsibility came from the two words, response and ability, where we need to be accountable in everything to preserve, conserve, and protect all our living things because this creates a balance for everyone. Filipinos are also known to be patriotic. Our pagiging makabansa is evident when we take pride on any positive things that could identify us as Filipinos. During this pandemic, we look back on what we are doing as a nation. Our pagiging makabansa is very reflective on how we value the lives of our fellow Filipinos by keeping distance, following health and safety protocols, alongside with patronizing anything that would support our local business. And during this time, it is important for us to say, Pinoy muna. Let us buy Pinoy, help Pinoy, and support Pinoy. Filipinos are also known to be masayahin. We can find joy and laughter in almost every situation, even in trying times. Saan po ba kumukuha ng kaligayahan ng mga Pilipino? According to psychologists, we have the 3 Fs: faith, family, and friends. That despite of the trying times, we can manage to laugh and smile because we have our 3 core treasures. Filipinos have the bayanihan spirit. This is very evident on how the community reached out to every Filipinos. Private, government, and even personal effort, one by one, people start helping each other. And this was shown by everyone in the community, and it is a very beautiful value that we can't deny. Our modern day heroes goes to all our medical and service frontliners who tirelessly work above and beyond to fight our invincible enemy. As a local individual, to further support our bayanihan, we could do so as much by supporting local and buying Filipino product. This way, we are helping our community rise again. The 7th Filipino value is our ability to look at the brighter things. This is may pag-asa. Our hope this pandemic will end is not far-fetched. This is a rest period where we look at this pandemic as an opportunity to revisit our core values to make us as a better person and apply them to better our social relationships. This pandemic is an opportunity to contemplate and have a mental fortitude to better our wellness. And this is an opportunity to recalibrate our ways for the next normal. Though it's a tough time, our mobility has been reduced and it affected the greatest adventures in our lives. We use this time to appreciate all the small things in lives which had been neglected and use them to improve our social well-being. Everyone has a different and unique way to react and cope with the pandemic. But we always remember that we are someone fearfully made and we are blessed to have these amazing Filipino values. And these are evident in every days of our lives. In behalf of the Department of Tourism Office of the Industry and Manpower Development, who has the rights and intellectual property on the Filipino brand of service excellence, maraming salamat po at naway maayos po ang ating mga kalagayan.